All right, welcome to episode 7 of the Red Line podcast. We're pleased to have our soccer insiders here today, Colin and Dave Schlegel. Blake and I are really excited to talk about this as the Premier League is getting up and going here on the weekend. So this is a bit of a preview show. We're going to talk about the different transfers that have happened over the past summer. We'll talk about kind of our predictions for this next year. And yeah, we'll have some fun. So Colin and Dave, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, great to be here.
Awesome. We're really excited to have you. Obviously on social media, we've been pumping you guys up over the past little while, but we haven't had that chance to get you guys on the podcast. So just love to maybe get a little introduction from each of you, and maybe we'll start with Colin. Maybe give us a little bit about your background in soccer, who you've supported over the course of your life up to this point, and maybe a little bit into your favorite player.
All right. Well, obviously, Dave and I are brothers, and we grew up in England. So soccer was like the main thing. And there was a few other sports we watched and followed, but it was pretty much soccer all the way. I remember playing quite a lot and also cheering for Liverpool since I was about maybe 6 or 7. And I've been following them all the way since then, since the year when they lost the league to Arsenal on the last day in 1989. So yeah, it's been a long ride until this last season when they finally won again.
Yes.
But it's been fun to follow them because what I love about following Liverpool, I guess, is the human story to it. You know, when you I think sports has this way of drawing us in when there's a story to follow of people who are striving against the odds.
Mm-hmm.
And Liverpool's definitely been a story like that. Hard work and progression and some incredible mountaintops, like when they won the Champions League in 2005, 3-0 down at halftime to the best team in the world and still came back to win. That was just one of those endearing moments of sport that kind of inspires you to think, okay, if I try hard, I can do anything, sort of thing. And in cheering for Liverpool, my favorite player was Xabi Alonso for a long time, along with Steven Gerrard and Mascherano and that best midfield in the world back in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved when I played soccer. I just the only thing I was good at was passing. I wasn't very good at shooting or tackling or heading. All the hard stuff, I couldn't do it. So when I saw a guy on the field who could play like a pinpoint pass and thread the needle, so like, you know, seeing a pass that no one else on the field can see and then making it work and creating a goal out of nothing, that kind of drew my attention. And so Alonso was definitely my favorite player growing up. And so, yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, what a fall from grace, hey, in 2009 for Steven Gerrard playing next to Xabi Alonso, and Mascherano in 2010 playing next to Milan Jovanovic and Christian Poulsen.
What happened there? Oh, we know.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oh man, you mentioned 2005, Blake. Were you a Liverpool fan in 2005 when the Champions League final was on that then?
No, I hadn't started watching soccer at that point. I think it was around, when was it, 2010 or 2011? So it was, yeah, quite a bit after.
Yeah. I honestly wasn't really. I was probably in the 5th grade at that point. I wasn't super into it by then. I remember started following it. Colin actually got me into it. Well, not into soccer, but into following Liverpool in about 2008, kind of right after Liverpool played in the Champions League final against AC Milan the second time round.
Right.
And I remember kind of following them after that. So yeah, it's been near and dear to my heart ever since. But thanks for the introduction, Dave. It's great to have you along as well. We had you on in another earlier episode, which was great. We had some good banter. Tell us a little bit about your history in following soccer. And I know you and Colin have a little bit of a rivalry back in the day when you were kids, in terms of who you would support.
Yeah, I was a Coventry City fan back when they were dominating the mid-table in the Premier League. And yeah, I mean, soccer was never really my thing. It was always Colin's thing. And so I'll be honest, like, soccer's been a part of my life, my whole life. I probably went to my first live game when I was 5 or 6. And Colin's been mental about it forever. So it was a big part of my life, but it wasn't something I really followed for myself until much later, like probably 2013, 2014, that season when Liverpool missed it by 1 game. And that was, the Gerrard slip. I remember that was the first time I was like, okay, I'm really into this now.
Yeah.
And so I'm a relative newcomer. My soccer memories are Colin crying when Bayern Munich lost the Champions League final to Manchester United in '99. And I remember him standing on the street just bawling his eyes out. I was like, wow, okay, this means something to some people.
Awesome.
Yeah, I vivid memories of that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm a relative newcomer. I have some history, but I was not following it closely.
I just kind of envision Colin sitting on the street corner, looking through a rainy window with his hand pressed up against it, with Sarah McLachlan playing softly in the background.
Yeah,
it was pretty much it.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, it's great to have you both on. I'm excited to dive into this. The transfer windows are some of my favorite times in soccer, just with the rumor mill turning and churning. And there's a lot of rumors that always get thrown around, and you have to be a little bit wary of the sources, because who knows where some of these rumors are coming from. But in terms of some big things that are happening, it looks like some of the big talking points have been around Everton. Now, their big claim to fame is their 5-time dominance of winning the transfer window 5 times in a row, but they seem to always end up in the mid-table, which is incredible. And we love to poke fun at Everton, but maybe I'll start with you, Blake. I'll toss it to you. What are kind of your thoughts on some of Everton's big signings this transfer window?
Well, so far they've got 4 guys in, and obviously the biggest name they've got is James Rodriguez from Real Madrid, who was the star of the show in the World Cup a couple of World Cups ago. And that'll be interesting, I think, because he's kind of been a letdown since his rise to fame in the World Cup, but he's had a lot of problems when he was in Real Madrid, so it'll be interesting to see him on a team where he'll be starting hopefully every game and not get injured. So he could be a real threat. And the other one would be Doucouré, and I personally think he's kind of overrated. That might just be because he's playing for a bad Watford team, and once he gets into a team with some more quality, he might shine and rise up a little bit. But I think that's an average signing. And the other 2, I don't know a lot about them personally. I haven't watched a lot of European games this year because I haven't really been on with all the COVID and stuff. So
Totally
not too familiar with them. But yeah, Rodriguez could be pretty scary, and Doucouré, average. That's my opinion. But
yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was not surprised, rather, to see Carlo Ancelotti bring in somebody from Napoli. I am a bit surprised that it was Alan, but being the guy that he is, and kind of the first prestigious coach that they've had in a while at Everton, I think he was bound to bring in something. But maybe, Colin, I'll kind of throw it to you when it comes to Carlo Ancelotti. What do you think this is kind of his first real season where he gets to dig his heels in. What is kind of your take on what he could bring to Everton?
Well, he's a master tactician. I mean, we remember him from, like you said, 2007 Champions League final against Liverpool, AC Milan. And he was also the coach in 2005 when Benitez masterminded that win. So he's been around for many years, Real Madrid manager for a long time. And he knows his his stuff when it comes to how to set up a team, and then bringing in these big names. Like, honestly, James Rodriguez is a real quality player if he can reveal his qualities like he has underachieved, but what a player. And same with Alan. I really like him. When I used to watch the Liverpool-Napoli games, he always stood out and impressed me. So that makes them a strong midfield there with Doucouré as well. So, Dave, I have a question for you, because didn't you name your car James after like the World Cup when James Rodriguez was so good?
I do. I have a tradition of naming my vehicles after soccer players that were hot at the moment. So currently in my driveway, I have Riyad Mahrez II and James Rodriguez II. So we did buy that car. It was the week of the quarterfinal when he scored that amazing goal in the World Cup. So that was my go-to.
That's awesome.
And you're a Liverpool fan, and now he's signed for Everton. You got to sell this car.
You know what? It's actually been sitting parked for the last 3 months, and I'm probably about to sell it. So there you go.
Yeah,
perfect. Good timing.
Proper fan.
Yeah,
no kidding.
I got standards.
Oh man, I love it. I'm staying in the Premier League, obviously, but one of the newcomers this year to the Premier League is Leeds. And Leeds have never been in the Premier League since I've been following the Premier League. They've always been kind of in League One, and they've always been one of those teams that people have been like, oh, they're a massive team, they belong in the Premier League, but they've never been there since the early 2000s. Maybe Colin, I'll chat with you about this a little bit. What kind of or what are you excited about, I should say, about Leeds coming to the Premier League?
Well, I mean, Jared, you're crazy young if you can't remember Leeds in the Premier League.
Yeah.
They were a top 5 team for years and years.
But I'm just kidding around. But you know what? Seriously, they will always bring a fight. That's the reputation they have.
Mm-hmm.
Is they're physical, they're intense. Like there's more red cards in a Leeds game than any other game. And that's not a joke. Like, I'm not exaggerating. When they play their rivals, especially, I think, like, I'm not an expert on Leeds, but I think Tottenham, Chelsea, those teams they always had a bit of spite with, Manchester United, and probably us. And so I think that they come in having won the league of the championship after trying so many years to get back in the Premier League. And now they play us at Anfield as we are the Premier League champions. On their first game, they are going to be up for it. Like, It's going to be an intense match to watch. And we may have, or I say we, Liverpool may have a lot more quality players, but the intensity, ferocity of that game will level the playing field. And they also, I think they brought in a really good striker from Valencia. Do you guys remember his name? Is it?
Rodrigo, I think is his name, right? Rodrigo Moreno? Yeah,
Rodrigo.
I think he's the Spain starting striker right now.
Yeah, 26 million they paid for him.
Wow.
So he could end up lighting up the Premier League this year. I think they'll be a good team to watch.
I do too.
I'm super. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say Bielsa is. I'm excited for him. Everything I hear about this guy is that he's a fantastic manager and a real personality. So, and that's what does it in the Premier League is big personalities. I feel like you can be a good manager and that's fine, but I know the reason everyone loves Klopp is because of his personality, and I think Bielsa has a bit of that. People just seem to love the guy, so I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've heard for sure, is that he's got a big personality and he's kind of a down-to-earth type manager that his players really love. He's like the normal one version too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, he's had a big history in the game. I think he was Argentina's national coach for a while and some other big jobs. So for him to go to the championship when Leeds were there he was the star name in the whole division. So yeah, Leeds have a good manager, good striker, and some really good players. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be one to watch for sure. Kind of switching gears here, another team that's been splashing the cash over the summer transfer window is Chelsea. I'll throw to you, Blake. There's some big names on that list of players that have come in, and there's a few on the out list as well. Kind of your thoughts on the transfer window that Chelsea's had so far.
Yeah, Chelsea's made some killer signings, I would say. They've got a lot of good potential players that have come in here with Teemo Werner and Ziyech and, people that have performed at high levels. And they're coming into a Chelsea team that's pretty young. So if they stick around for a long time, they could definitely rise up and become a superpower again. And they might have a chance at the league, honestly. I would consider them. And yeah, they've got a lot of quality coming in, like proven players. Not a lot of young guys they do have Havertz coming in, but he's pretty young. And Joel, I think, is also fairly young. But they're proven. And they're not just like fringe players from a different squad. They're solid. So it should be interesting to see how they just slot into the team. I think the biggest name leaving would be Willian, probably going to Arsenal. And I understand that why he would leave. It was kind of a dead team, but when he was there and now he's left and all these good signings are coming in, so he might be regretting that now. But I don't think that'll affect them too much. He was kind of arguably one of their better players, but with all these other signings coming in, I don't think it'll impact Chelsea's too much because they're going to be pretty solid now.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make. I think it was a good time for Willian to leave. I was kind of hoping, honestly, that Liverpool might be in for him, just because of the Brazilian connection, and he's quick and he's really skilled. He's good at free kicks. I thought he would have been a good rotation player that we could use as support for Salah and Mane. But oh well, he went to Arsenal. He's gone to the retirement team, so it's totally
That's right.
Maybe I'll just kind of touch on a couple of these players in Chelsea. Teemo Werner, like the guy's he's a beast. He's Germany's lead striker. He's lit it up with Red Bull Leipzig in the Bundesliga as well, the Champions League. He's going to be really big for them. Hakim Ziyech, with Ajax, like he's been good. Admittedly, I haven't seen him that much in Eredivisie in Holland, but what I have been seeing, I have seen him a lot in like the World Cup and stuff for Morocco, I believe, is who he played for, and he was really good. But the one name that's intriguing to me is Kai Havertz. I don't know, maybe I'll ask you, Colin, to see, do you have any insight on Kai Havertz?
Well, I haven't sat down and watched a whole game of his. I generally only watch the Liverpool games these days, but from what I've read about him and seen little highlights, like he is one of the premier midfielders in the world coming through as a younger star. And I mean, to have played so well for Leverkusen, who are probably like the fifth or sixth best team in Germany since he was a teenager, and been scoring so many goals. I think actually what drew him, this is just my guess, is he's a bit of a Lampard. And Lampard's the coach of Chelsea. He was a midfielder who could score goals from center mid by charging in and just getting that shot away, being a poacher in the box. And he's a bit like that. And I think he's thinking, this will advance my career. And Chelsea, I don't know where, well, we do know where they're getting all their money from, right? From Russia and from Abramovich and his billions. But they've gone and spent so much money, and Havertz, he's an incredible signing for them. He could end up being one of the top 5 in the world in a few years.
Yeah, for sure. He does seem to be kind of pegged on that same level of the Jadon Sanchos and the Kylian Mbappes and the Trent Alexander-Arnolds, like the
totally
prospects of the world. And I'm definitely intrigued to see him play this year.
Well, and you put him with Christian Pulisic, who's just, I think he's one of the best players on Chelsea. And then Teemo Werner, and like you said, they've already got Ziyech and Abraham and Mount and Giroud. Like what a forward line or two they have.
Yeah, they've got some depth now for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of there's like an abundance of riches there that they have. It's going to be cool to watch. I'm not a big Chelsea fan, obviously, but I definitely am looking forward to seeing kind of how they pan out this year.
I will say they have one big weakness, and that's their goalie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They do for sure. And it's interesting because they paid just as much for him as we did for Allison, and the quality difference there is drastic.
Yeah, that was a panic buy, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump in here to talking about our favorite team, Liverpool, because I'm intrigued to talk about them a little bit. And we've only made one signing so far. Bit of an underwhelming window, to say the least. However, we did address one of the main areas that we needed to. So maybe I'll start with you, Dave. Kind of your first thoughts on our left back purchase in Kostas Tsimikas from Olympiacos.
Again, he was someone I was unfamiliar with before the window. I've kind of seen a couple of videos online and try to catch up with a little bit of who he is. I think he'll be a great fit. We saw him play in a friendly or two, and yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's hard to look at Chelsea's window and then look at ours and think, well, we're bringing in one backup, and they're bringing in all these starters. So it's a bit hard to see. But honestly, that's kind of how Klopp's done business for the last few years. If you look at the players he's brought in, how many of them got into starting 11 right away? Like that isn't his game. You've seen it with Keita. You're seeing it a bit with Minamino now. Like, it takes people a little while to get into Klopp's game. And I think he's got a good starting 11 right now. And he's rather than bringing in people that are just going to walk in and take over, he's spending his money wisely. He's bringing in people who are going to be excellent support players in the coming seasons. And hopefully he brings in a couple more. But I'm, slightly disappointed that we haven't seen, Thiago or someone like that coming in. But I think he's not done yet. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's done yet, but I'm definitely interested to see how he gets on this season, because he's very much a Robertson Jr. in terms of his kind of traits as a player. He's quick, he's left-footed, he's very agile, he's really good at crossing, so he's a really good fit from that standpoint. He's got Champions League experience, so I'm definitely interested to see how he gets on. But I'd like to maybe pick your brain a little bit, Colin, about some of the outgoings that we've had and maybe who else should leave. So far, kind of the big names who have left have been Lovren from defense, as well as Klein being released, and then Adam Lallana in the midfield. Maybe just your thoughts on those three, and then maybe some other thoughts on who else you think should leave this summer.
Yeah, those three, they had their time, but that was a long time ago, and they should have left 2 years ago. So I don't know, they were kicking around, as backup players, and then whenever they came on, it was like, oh my goodness, this is not going to go well. Mm-hmm. And the reality is they were good personalities. I think that's why, especially Lovren and Lallana, were kept around, is because they had a good reputation and a good, mentality in the dressing room, but they weren't adding much on field. And so letting them go means we've freed up some wages that we could now reinvest. And I'm looking forward to see who they do bring in. But I think Klopp, like Dave says, he likes his young players too. He likes to give these guys a good chance. And some of the squad players just don't seem to leave when they underperform, because he gives them more chances. And Shaqiri's one of those. Origi's one of those. He keeps them around, and maybe there's, potential to make a sale here, but the market is, a little tougher during these COVID times. So I don't know if they're going to leave either. And so we end up with a bit of a bloated squad. And I think the homegrown players rule kind of handicaps us, where we may have already filled our foreign quota, so to speak. And now we almost need to bring in another British player to balance that out, so that we don't end up having to leave someone off the roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a good point you make about the young players because there's lots of rumors swirling around about some of them, of the Harry Wilsons of the world, the Ryan Brewsters, the Marco Grujic. Who out of our kind of I would say rotation squad, sporadic type players in our squad would you like to see stay and maybe get a shot at Liverpool this year if we weren't to make any more signings?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd love to see how Grujic does. You know, was signed. He was Klopp's first signing 5 years ago, and now he's had a couple of years playing for Hertha Berlin in Germany, and he's done well. So he's got a potential. He's got the physique. He's got the midfield qualities. But is he going to get a chance? We have so many, high quality professional midfielders. I don't know if he'll get a chance. I do like Nico Williams, and I think he's already looking very good as Trent's backup at right back. And there's some good young defenders there, Sepp van der Berg and Keanu Hoover, but are they just a little too young to fill in at that critical position at this stage?
Yeah, it seems that way for sure. Maybe Blake, I'll throw to you here and kind of piggybacking on what Colin had to say there. If we were to bring in some other positions, who do you think we should still go after in terms of position wise? And if you have names in mind too, throw some names around. But I'm definitely curious to get your thoughts.
Honestly, I think that getting Tsimikas was the right thing to do because I think the biggest gap was the left back, and now that there is a filling there, I think they've got pretty good coverage overall. I do think that maybe the center backs might be a little thin now, like Colin was saying, the guys that would be coming up to replace them are still very young. So if something happened to Van Dijk, who do you have to really slot in? You've got Gomez
totally.
and like Matip, I guess, but yeah, it's really pretty thin because Lovren's gone now, so there's even one less now. So maybe a center back, maybe someone who's kind of older and would kind of just fade out once their contract's up while the other guys get some experience as they grow up. So maybe a center back. No one in particular that I have in mind, but yeah,
Somebody
I think
like
that might be. Go ahead.
somebody like Ragnar Klavan. Remember when we brought in
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and he was the captain of a very mid-table German side, and he was solid. Like I don't ever remember him playing and being like super disappointed on how he played. He always he slid into the team when he was needed, very professional and just solid. And I remember him scoring that injury time winner against Burnley.
Oh, what a moment.
Just losing my mind because it was Klavan who scored it. Just became a
Ragnar.
hero.
Yeah, exactly. Someone like that should, I think, be a target maybe just for some extra coverage so that the young guys aren't under so much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Some names that have been thrown around is Thiago from Bayern Munich, and he's a big name in world football. And maybe Dave, you have some thoughts on this. Kind of how do you see Thiago fitting into the system if we were actually to sign him?
I think he'd be an asset for sure. I don't know. Midfield is an interesting one for me, for Liverpool, because I wouldn't say we have a single big standout. We've got just a bunch of workhorses. That's what we've got. So we got people who can run all day, like Milner and Henderson. And we got people who anchor everything, like Fabinho. Like we've got a few of these names that can kind of do everything. So having a name like Thiago in there, I don't know. My feelings on Liverpool's midfield is that there's 5 or 6 guys there that you could pretty much put in interchangeably and they get the job done. But we don't have that one name that like you just wait for them to get the ball every time. And I think Thiago could be that for us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's great insight. I think I agree with you 100%. Let's just quickly go around the horn here, and we can start with you, Colin. Maybe if we had one signing left this window, what position and what player would you sign in reason? And we'll go Colin, we'll go Blake, Dave, and then I'll end it.
Okay.
Oh, man, that's a good question. Well, I'm assuming Thiago's coming. Even today's news, it sounds like he's agreeing personal terms and just needs the deal with Bayern to go through. So I think if we assume we're getting him and we still need to get another big name in or a big, quality player in, I've been banging this drum for like 3 years. We need another winger who's got pace, because Salah and Mane are fantastic, but there's no one competing for their position or pushing them, or even to fill in when they're, playing back-to-back games. And I think we've lost the first month of the regular calendar here, but we're going to have the same number of games. So it's going to be back-to-back-to-back like never before because of the times we live in. And so they need the odd game where they can come off at 60 or be a sub. And Origi doesn't cut it. Shaqiri doesn't cut it for me. And so is there a name out there? Adama Traore. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't that just change everything? It'd be great.
Great pick. Blake, how about you?
I really like Colin's picks, but I would counter and say that there's a lot of midfield players that if Salah or Mane or someone got injured, you could rearrange the team a bit and maybe throw up like a Minamino or a Keita up there and make it work. It wouldn't be obviously as good, but I think there's space to like fill in those gaps. Whereas, as I mentioned before, the center back, if you got an injury, it'll be pretty thin. So I'd say a center back. And I don't know anyone that's super old and kind of fading out that's kind of just quality, but that's what I would say. But Traore would be amazing too. So
Yeah, I love that Traore pick. That's a fantastic pick. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think center back's probably the one that I'm most nervous about. Like the Van Dijk, I think started every game last season. And between Gomez and Matip, I've got no problem with either of them. But I think if it was just Gomez and Matip, and one of you run the risk of one of them getting injured, I feel much better having someone in there. I don't have a name for you. I've been racking my brain for the last few minutes trying to think of who would fit. But
no, that's fair.
I'm sure Ragnar Klavan can put his boots on again.
That's
yeah,
right.
call him back. Yeah,
I'm banging the same drum though. I'm
free.
on the center back train, and I think that Kabak guy from Schalke would be a good option. He'd be expensive, but he's young and he's big, and I think he could be a good option to replace. We know Matip's going to get injured this year. That's just a given. So I think we will need to get somebody. But there is that one kid that has been playing, Kumatio, who's he's a big boy, he's 6'4". I don't know where he came from, but he just popped up and he's been playing.
Yeah.
So they might end up using him in the rotation this year. Who knows? Okay, so we're coming up to the first week of games here. On Saturday, the first game is Fulham versus Arsenal. So what I thought we could do is go around the horn and pick our teams. Sorry, not our teams, but who's going to win each game. So I'll start with Fulham versus Arsenal as the first game to kick off the 2020-2021 Premier League calendar. Colin, who do you have, Fulham or Arsenal, and what's your score?
Oh, it's an Arsenal win. I think Aubameyang's on fire. 3-1, and he scores a hat-trick and then drops something, like a trophy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he seems to do that often. How about you, Dave? Fulham or Arsenal?
It's got to be Arsenal. They're on such a roll after Community Shield and everything they're just on fire. So,
yeah. Blake?
And so it's always hard for those teams coming up. It's always one team, two teams struggle and one team does all right. I think Fulham's going to struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fulham's in tough here. I think Arsenal's going to walk away. Blake, are you on the same page?
I want to say Fulham, but Aubameyang I think is also just on fire, so he'll probably carry the team if he needs to. If Aubameyang's not playing, maybe Fulham have a chance. Arsenal hacks otherwise, but
He's an animal, that guy. Okay, our game, 10:30 a.m. Friday. Saturday morning, Liverpool versus Leeds. Probably, arguably, the best game of the opening weekend besides maybe Tottenham and Everton. That'll be a good one. But
Agreed.
we'll start with you, Blake. Where are you going, Liverpool versus Leeds?
Got to be Liverpool.
Yep, darn
Yeah,
right.
no question.
Yeah,
I hope.
I'm on the same page. I'm on the same page. I think we'd be betraying our team if we picked anybody else. But how about you, Colin?
Yeah, 2-1 Liverpool. Close game, but we'll edge it.
How about you, Dave?
3-2 Liverpool. I think it's going to be a real fight.
Yeah, I can see this one being a tough one. Leeds coming up, feeling pretty confident. Liverpool were kind of dropping off a bit. I think they might have just got complacent after knowing that they had won, and they kind of just didn't care. So they might be on like a downward trend, and Leeds are on an upward trend. So it might be a bit of a clash. But
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
James Milner to score.
Yeah, a penalty.
That'll be tough for sure.
But if he scores a pen, we're guaranteed to win. That's the thing. So
it's true,
That's
yeah.
right.
I love that stat. That's a great one. Okay, another team that's up and coming. Back to the Prem, West Brom, the boringest team ever. They don't scream excitement to me, but maybe West Brom versus Leicester City. I'll start with you, Dave. Where are you at on that one?
Yeah, Leicester all the way. I agree with you. My goodness, I was not upset when West Brom went down
Yeah.
a couple of seasons ago. So we'll see what happens. But Leicester, they dropped off a little bit end of last season this summer, but they're a great team, and they've made one good-looking signing. So I think they'll be winning for sure. Probably, I'm guessing 3-0.
Yeah, awesome. Colin, where are you at on this game?
Yeah, Leicester's going to take it. I think Vardy is the quality there, so give it to Leicester.
Blake, how about you?
Yeah, it's got to be consensus here. Leicester's going to win it, I'd say. West Brom are, I don't know. I was on the same page as Dave. I was kind of happy when they went down. Hoping a different team would come up, honestly. Tired of seeing them because they're pretty boring. So, yeah, I'll say 2-0 Leicester.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-0 Leicester City. That's my prediction. So Sheffield United, one of the biggest surprises of the season last year. They were just a very solid team, and a great finish in the end, mid-table for them, but definitely a surprise for me. They're coming up against Wolves in week 1. Blake, where are you feeling this game?
This is kind of a tough one because they're pretty evenly matched teams. I think they were Wolves was 6th and Sheffield was 7th last season.
Totally.
So they're very, very close. And I probably give it to – that's a tough one. I feel like it's going to be all attack for Wolves and Sheffield's going to park the bus, but I think Wolves might take it. Might be close, like a 1-0.
Okay. How about you, Colin?
Yeah, Wolves have the quality there, but they're the away team, and Sheffield United was so good last year. I agree. It's a tough call, but Adama Traore is going to take it.
Dave, how about you?
Yeah, I'm with Wolves as well. I think Wolves has the potential to knock Tottenham out of the top 6 spot for me. I think they're going to be a solid team for the next 2 years, and they've also made some decent signings. So I'm going to go for Wolves 2-0.
I'm going to rock the boat a little bit here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Sheffield's going to hold them. I think it's early. It's the first game of the year. It looks to me like Santos, the coach, has raided Portugal again for more signings. So might take them a little bit to settle in. But I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Nice safe bet.
Yeah, it's a nice safe bet. That's right. Okay, Crystal Palace versus Southampton. It's the Danny Ings show these days, and
Yes.
I'm interested to get your guys' opinion. I'll start with you, Dave. Where are you feeling this game?
Ooh, that's a tough one. They're pretty evenly matched. I think Southampton will edge it. I think Crystal Palace is relying a little too much on Zaha last couple of seasons. And Southampton, I mean, you could say the exact same thing about Ings. But I think Southampton's a slightly better team. So I'm going to go 2-1.
Awesome. Colin.
Well, you got two Liverpool strikers playing, haven't you? Benteke on one team and Ings on the other. And as Liverpool fans, it's no surprise which one we like better. So Southampton.
Yeah.
All right, Blake.
Yeah, I feel like Southampton's a better team, but I could see it going either way, honestly. I feel like Crystal Palace could go down even this year. And I do like Southampton, and Ings was on fire last year. So if you can hold that form, I think Southampton can take it. But Southampton's team otherwise I don't think is very strong. So if some people are not performing, it could go either way. Maybe a 1-1 draw. I'll do that one, actually.
Nice. Yep. I am liking Southampton in this one for sure. I think Danny Ings is just coming off an England call-up. I think he's feeling excited. He's feeling good. And I'm happy for him. I'm a little sad we got rid of him, but I
Me
know
too.
why we did. So I'm going to go 3-2 Southampton. I think Crystal Palace
Ooh.
nab a couple. I think Wilfred Zaha will be feeling it, and I think Michi Batshuayi is gonna get off the snide, as they say.
Nice.
Couple more we'll flip through here. I know we're running low on time, but West Ham versus Newcastle. It's gonna be Newcastle. They've made some good signings. Where are you at, Blake?
I just want to double check Newcastle signings here.
Callum Wilson.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
That's big news for me.
Yeah, Callum Wilson. That's a good pickup for them from Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Former
I would
Coventry
say
guy.
Newcastle might take this one. Yeah, I feel like this will be a close game too. But if someone's going to win it, it'll probably be Newcastle.
Yeah, they raided Bournemouth. They got Ryan Fraser as well. Colin, how are you feeling here?
Oh, this one's 0-0, and even the players on the bench fall asleep.
Yes.
I'm actually with you on that. I was thinking 0-0 as well. It sounds a bit like a snooze fest. But Dave, where are you at?
Newcastle edge of 1-0, but it won't be an exciting game.
It'll be a 95th minute winner.
Yeah. After the goalie falls asleep.
Someone fell asleep, yeah.
I was going to say the fans fall asleep, but there won't be any there.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame them.
Yeah, they're happy on this one.
Yeah. Tottenham and Everton, the big game of the weekend. I'm really looking forward to this one, hoping to catch it. But Blake, we'll start with you. How are you feeling on this one?
I'm going to say Everton's going to win it.
Wow.
Which might be a little bit of a surprise, but yeah, I'm gonna be bold and say Everton because I feel like Tottenham. I don't know. I feel like they're overrated and they're gonna fall this year. So
okay,
I feel like there's a lot of complacency in Tottenham after like never winning anything like ever, and Everton just got some good signings, so they might be looking to get at them. So I'll say Everton.
Okay, how about you, Colin?
Oh, this one's got 4-4 written all over it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
These are teams without goalies. Like Jordan Pickford, he has no arms, and and Lloris, well, he was good 7 years ago or something. So
but they've got Joe Hart now.
Oh, Joe Hart. No, well,
Yeah.
that doesn't help at all. So yeah, I think it'll be a big game, an exciting game, and lots of goals.
Okay, Dave, how about you?
Oh, yeah, I think I can see some goals. I think Everton's going to win it too, actually. I think Tottenham's been, I mean, they've got some great players. I love Son. He's a bit of a man crush for me. I think he's excellent. But I don't think they're playing as a team. Like, it's pretty hard to watch. And it's hard because I don't think I've liked Mourinho more than I have when he's been at Tottenham. But I just don't think he's working for the team. So I think Everton's 3-1.
Okay, yeah. I'm kind of with Colin. I think there's a lot of goals in this one both ways. I think I think defensively Everton's going to be all over the place, but I think they're going to just kind of throw caution to the wind in terms of going forward. I think Richarlison and James will be kind of running the show there, but I think Harry Kane's gonna terrorize Pickford. So
Totally.
I think I won't maybe be as aggressive as a 4-4, but I think I'm gonna go with a 3-3.
Okay.
Nice.
So the last game is Brighton versus Chelsea. We've talked about Chelsea's firepower and who they've brought in. I'll maybe kick it off. I think Chelsea's going to blow the doors off Brighton. I think I'm going to go 4-0 Chelsea in this one. And I think I'm predicting a brace for Werner. Ziyech isn't playing. I heard he's injured. So, but yeah, I think Pulisic might pitch in one. And maybe I'll give Giroud off the bench for a header or something like that, as he typically likes to do. But maybe I'll toss it to you, Colin.
Well, Adam Lallana is going to be playing for Brighton, and he'll be good for the first 3 games of the season, so he'll score against Chelsea's terrible goalie. So 17-1 Chelsea.
Nice.
Well, maybe 7-1. Let's go with that.
Okay, perfect. Dave, how about you?
Chelsea, there's no other team I'm more excited to watch this season, to be honest. I think it's going to be just fun every minute they're on the field. And this is going to be a 4 or 5-0 for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Blake?
I think for sure Chelsea is going to win it. I feel like a lot of excitement in their team right now, so they're going to be in a good mood for it, and Brighton might be a little scared seeing all these signings come in, so it might be a little intimidating. So yeah, I think Chelsea's going to clinch this one for sure. But I do think if Lallana can stay healthy, he'll pull an Ings and be sensational this year.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that Chelsea's going to win this game, I think so.
Yeah, I sure hope he's not like Danny Ings. That was painful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So we're coming right to the end here, but I wanted to end it off with making our preseason Premier League champions predictions. And starting with you, Colin, who do you think come May is going to be lifting the Premier League trophy?
Okay, so here's an interesting stat I saw when I was deeply looking through stats, which I don't really do. But no one has retained the Premier League title since 2007 and 8, when Alex Ferguson was Manchester United coach.
Wow.
So by retained, won it twice in a row. It just hasn't happened. We've had Leicester and Chelsea and Man City and us all winning it, but it's very hard to retain it. And I think
Man City did 2 in a row, didn't they? Just recently?
No, it was split up by Chelsea, I think.
Yep.
Or Leicester. So yeah, no one's retained it. So I think Liverpool is favorite because we won it by 17 million points last season. But and the reality is, if we had kept going without COVID, we really would have won it by 30 points. Yeah. It's ridiculous how we just left the foot off the gas after when we'd already won the thing. So it's hard to predict against Liverpool, and I do think Klopp, here's the thing, there's progression with Klopp's team every year. They get better every single season since he's taken over. For 5 years, they've improved and then built on that and built on that and built on that. I don't think they'll build on it this year simply because of the rush of games with the COVID schedule, and because we decided not to splash cash in this financial crisis of the world, which I think was wise by John Henry, the owner. He's a good businessman, but he's not an oligarch, and he doesn't own a country like Chelsea's and Man City's owners. So I think he's done well to just hold off and say, let's see if we can repeat what we did last year and attack this league, as Klopp's quote. He's not going to defend it. He's going to attack it. And I think we will retain it. I'm going to say we'll retain it by, much less points and much less blowaway, because the other teams have strengthened their weaknesses. Chelsea, they couldn't find a good, consistent attacking trio, and now they've got all these players. Man City, they had Otamendi. Well, they've replaced him. They've got, Ake in, and I think that'll help Man City big time. They lost Sane, but they've got Ferran Torres in, right? So I think Man City will strengthen and has strengthened. Man U was on a bit of a tear at the end. Arsenal's looking better. All the teams around Liverpool are looking better. But I still think Klopp just has this way of dragging the mentality monsters out of those players and helping them win even when they aren't playing the best. And that's what got us the title. We played the best for 2 years and didn't win the league. And then we didn't play the best last year, but we won every game pretty much and won the league. And so he's figured out how to get them winning even when they aren't, producing a 10 out of 10 performance. And that's what I think Klopp will do to retain it. I think Man City will be right on our heels. And I think Chelsea and Man U will scrap for third and fourth.
Okay. Dave, what about you?
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be, I can honestly see it being a 4-horse race for top this year. Not for second, but actually for top. Like I do honestly think Chelsea's going to be way closer. I think I'm still going to go with Liverpool to win it, but I think Chelsea might be second, to be honest. And Man City. I don't think there'll be a 25-point gap this year. That's for sure. It's going to be a lot closer. I think Man U will be doing really, really well until the first time they have to play in their third kit, and then they're not gonna be able to handle it anymore. And then
Embarrassment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The referees. Oh man, they look like a bunch of hockey refs.
The pajamas.
Like a bunch of inmates, yeah.
A bunch of inmates, yeah.
I'm sure you saw all the Harry Maguire.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Oh, good time. But in all honesty, they're gonna be doing well. I think Leicester will do well. So I think it's gonna be way closer. I predict like 20 points between the top 6 this year, as opposed to 20 points between the top 2.
Yep. Okay. Very good. Blake.
I agree with what Dave's saying about 4-leg race. I think it's going to be very tight. I don't see City winning it, personally. I think in the locker room, the mentality might not be there because they've fallen out of the Champions League and they lost it last year. And I think they might be kind of dragging their heels a bit. So I think City might fall off a bit this year. Or if not, they'll crush teams that are worse than them. But when they face higher up teams, they might not win the games and they'll lose the league because of that. I could see Chelsea really being a strong push this year after these signings. So I don't know if Liverpool will win it again because they were kind of complacent at the end of the season. So they might carry that into the start of the season and lose a lot of points and not be able to pull through. And I think Chelsea is going to be ripping out the gate. So I'm going to, and their goalie is terrible, Chelsea. So, but I think they might pull like a Liverpool of the 2013-14, I think, season when they were just scoring 5 goals a game. And so if they got 4 against them, it didn't matter because they were just going to score more. Chelsea might be doing something similar and they might pull it off. So I'm going to go with Chelsea maybe.
All right.
Okay.
That's yeah.
It's a big call.
That is a big call. I agree kind of to some degree to what all of you are saying. I think Blake, I definitely agree with what you said about Manchester City kind of being fragile-minded a little bit this year. It does seem that there is kind of a bit of some shaky ground there for many reasons. I think the lack of success in the Premier League last year, the lack of success in the Champions League last year. I think this might be Pep Guardiola's last year at Man City if he doesn't have success in either of those. And I don't see him having success in either of those this year. I think Man City will do well to win the league. I think they'll be sniffing around it, but I don't think they're going to win. I still think Man U are still a ways away from challenging for the league. I think they're top 4, but I don't think they're going to be challenging for the league. I think they're still weak at the back, and I think we've seen that David De Gea is aging, and he's not as good as he used to be for sure. And I think they're really strong up front, and what you said about Chelsea being like the 2013-14 Liverpool, I kind of see to some degree Man U being that way. I think they can score goals at will, it seems, but they seem to be pretty fragile at the back with Slabhead leading their defense. So I'm with you on Chelsea. I think my prediction for the year is Chelsea's going to win the league, and I think it's going to be a really close battle with Liverpool. But I think Liverpool, I don't think they have enough coverage for injuries, and I just kind of foresee with the schedule Liverpool getting plagued by injuries and not affecting them in the Premier League. And I think it might be to the demise of them winning the league. So I think I'm going to go with Chelsea as well.
Wow. Huge calls, you guys.
A couple Chelsea picks and a couple of Liverpool picks. So it'll be interesting to see how the games play out. But sadly, we've come to the end of our time for episode 7, but it's been an absolute pleasure being able to talk with you boys about all the transfers, the new season, and Liverpool. And we'll make sure to have plenty of check-ins over the course of the season, and we're really looking forward to seeing how our team Liverpool does as the season progresses.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be on. Thanks, guys. We'll look forward to the
thanks
next
so
one.
much for coming on, and we'll talk to you next time.
Great.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.